Good afternoon. Wishing you all participants or attendee a happy Makar Sankranti and welcoming you to the first webinar of this calendar year. Anesthesiology is presenting the subject lever analgesia with its current trend and protocol. It is little bit different than usual our airway management or ventilation or oxygenation, all those topics. But we have chosen this lever analgesia, means it is a painless delivery system. No doubt, lever is always associated with pain, apprehension, and there are a lot of physical, mental, even the clinical output of it. So to control or abolish pain, it is a beautiful system, beautiful chapter has come in, and now it is being practiced world over. And as far as the importance is concerned here, when I joined here about 5 years back, almost all the lever and LSCS, cesarean sections, the diagnosis block, it was written that patient request. I was a little bit surprised why this 95%, 98% cases are being writing as a patient request. That means people are also afraid of this delivery, and they choose better for a surgical, more painful, maybe post-operative or post-delivery for that part. But if we can take it otherwise, if we can turn this painful event into a pleasant event or normal event, then it is a different story altogether. So I'll tell you a little bit about the importance of this webinar. That means we are having a shot in our arms so that we can control pain of the delivery. We have expertise in the operation theater, or we have a gained knowledge so that we have acquired some procedures or some knowledge so that we can adequately control labor pain and make it to a very happy occasion. It is very common in advanced countries. No mother there, they are all knowledgeable. Their systems are all open to public. They know the labor pain is a minor event. It can be controlled, and the delivery, if it is not cesarean, otherwise it is not a distressful occasion. So we have to make aware of our clienteles or our medical professionals so that we also land into that situation where labor can be an enjoyable event. And for this anesthesiology, though I am we are taking up this subject from anesthesia point of view, but 100% it does not belong to anesthesia. We have nothing to do for delivery or obstetrics as far as complete procedure is concerned, but obstetric OBG department equally or even more should be more involved so that this technique or this outcome is attended. And our mothers, our sisters, our daughters, they enjoy this delivery as other advanced country or even some Middle East countries where the repeated cesarean sections are not welcome for obvious reason. So in those cases, in those places, it is so common and we can reach in that state of thing. That is a blissful affairs. And moreover, there are some situations which is being ignored in our institution to some extent, I must say. There are some medical situations where you should prefer a normal vaginal delivery than a operative or similar type of procedure. It is more harmful if you land in the surgery than the normal delivery. Of course, it should be without pain. This is the catchword. So we will be taking over this topic, and with me from our department, Dr. Aradhana is here. She will be accompanying me to cover the whole topic. Introduction is not mandatory, but I like to introduce her for some reason. She has graduated MBBS from Guwahati University in 2007 and has done her post-graduation in MD Anesthesia in Command Hospital, Calcutta in 2013. So to my knowledge, she has clinical experience in conducting at least minimum 50 labor analgesia cases independently. So she is a right candidate to tell you how labor analgesia is performed and what is the outcome, what is the merit of this thing, all the signs, and how it is, why it is being done, she will be covering. And as far as myself is concerned, no introduction. I am HOD, Professor Anesthesiology. I am fortunate to be associated with establishing. I was asked to establish labor analgesia unit in one of the tertiary care medical college with total cooperation and willingness from the OBG department from that institution. In fact, they have more role to play. This is their department. We have to perform this thing not in operation theater or in our department, but in their home, their labor room. Their interns, their juniors, what is that? As residents, they are always involved. Without them, this procedure cannot be successful. We start the procedure, monitor it, but main thing, they conduct it till the happy event of child delivery. So with this introduction, details why this labor analgesia, how this labor analgesia performed I will be doing, and why it is being done. This is the science behind it, and Dr. Aradhana will be taking over just now. Please, over to Aradhana.
Thank you, sir. Good afternoon, everyone. I will start the topic of labor analgesia, its current trend and protocol. As it is correctly said by Moyer that delivery of the infant into the hand of conscious and pain-free mother is the most exciting and rewarding moments in the medicine. And this goal is achieved by providing the timely labor analgesia by anesthesiologist with the help of the newer technique of neuraxial anesthesia. The pride and pleasure of giving birth to a new life for a mother increases manyfold when the agony of pain associated with this process is taken care of. Why do we need obstetric analgesia? Both for humanitarian and medical reasons, as the pain of childbirth is the most painful period a woman will endure in their lifetime. When McLeod and Kelly used McGill pain scale questionnaire to find out the pain which happens during the labor and the delivery, and they found that nulliparous women have more pain than the parous women, and the pain rating index score was 8 to 10 points higher than those pain which is considered very painful, like cancer pain, phantom limb pain, and post-herpetic neuralgia. As well as being unpleasant, labor pain may have harmful effects on mother as well as on the baby, because the pain stimulates the catecholamine release, which constricts the uterine blood vessels, and pain also causes maternal hyperventilation, resulting in hypocapnia, which further constricts the uterine blood vessels and decrease the mother's ventilatory drive during the contraction periods. And all these effects leads to shift the maternal oxygen dissociation curve to the left, which compromise the oxygen supply to the fetus, leading to fetal acidemia and fetal hypoxemia. Furthermore, sometimes parenteral opioids are given at this stage, which further reduce the respiratory drive of the mother. But the labor analgesia, when the regional analgesia is given, it reduces the adverse effect of respiration and the sympathetic nervous system, which is related to the pain. So therefore, good labor analgesia should aim not only to reduce the pain and suffering of the mother, but also to decrease the fetal acidosis and make the delivery process safer both for mother and the baby. Any anesthesiologist providing labor analgesia has to be familiar with the physiology of pain in labor, because at what stage, what type of mode of labor analgesia is to be given is to be decided by the anesthesiologist. As we know, the pain of the first stage of labor starts with the onset of regular uterine contraction and it ends at the complete cervical dilatation. Pain at this stage is because of the stretching of the lower uterine segment and cervix, which stimulate the mechanoreceptors, and the noxious impulse are carried by the sensory nerve fibers, mainly by the A delta and C fibers, which transmit accompany through the sympathetic nerve ending and lives through the paracervical ganglion and cervical plexus and hypogastric plexus and go to the lumbar-sympathetic chain, which enter the spinal cord at the level of T10, T11, T12 and lumbar 1 spinal segments. As this pain is visceral in nature, it is poorly localized, transmitted slowly, and it is diffuse in nature. The pain is mainly because of the lower abdomen, also referred to the lumbosacral region, gluteal region, and the thigh. The pain of the second stage begins from the complete cervical dilatation and terminates with the delivery of the fetus. It is caused by the distension of the pelvic structure and the perineum, which is due to the descent of the presenting part of the fetus and ischemia and the frank injury. And the pain at this stage is carried by the somatic afferent nerve fibers, which is transmitted through the pudendal nerve to the spinal cord at sacral second, third, and fourth. And this is characteristically in somatic in origin, which is sharp and well localized. Pain of the first stage can be abolished by using bilateral paracervical plexus block or lumbar sympathetic block. But this block will not stop the pain of the second stage of the labor. The pain of the second stage of the labor can be abolished by the bilateral pudendal nerve block. But epidural and intrathecal blockade will give complete analgesia in both the first and the second stage of the labor. Now with something with the history. The era of the childbirth of the analgesia began in 1848 when Dr. Simpson gave anesthesia to a woman of childbirth using chloroform. In the same year, he used ether. But this practice at that time was not accepted by the society. So the pain relief method did not gain much popularity till John Snow administered chloroform to Queen Victoria in 1853 for the birth of her eighth child, Prince Leopold, and this did much to popularize this pain relief method. Traditionally, the labor analgesia is classified into three different methods, which is non-pharmacological method, systemic and inhalational analgesia, and regional analgesia. Mild labor pain can be reduced by using any of these methods like psychological method, water birthing, touch and massage, TENS, aromatherapy, hypnosis, but it didn't help in reducing the pain of the second stage. Among the inhalational agent, Antonox was very much popular. It was used for a long time. It has a mixture of 50-50 ratio of nitrous and oxygen, but the participant who used this, it found that it has some analgesic efficacy, but when women who used it felt drowsy, noxious, and felt sick, and there was some inadequate pain relief. Among the parenteral opioids, pethidine, fentanyl, tramadol was widely prescribed, but these drugs cannot be given during second stage because it has a respiratory depressant effect on the baby. Among regional technique, we have lumbar sympathetic block, intrathecal block, continuous spinal analgesia, paracervical and pudendal nerve block, lumbar epidural analgesia, and combined spinal epidural analgesia, which is currently in wide practice, and it is also called walking epidural analgesia. The lumbar epidural analgesia was introduced in 1960, and it is the most effective method used for labor pain relief. It involves placing a fine epidural catheter in the lumbar epidural space, and through this catheter, we administer local anesthetic either in the bolus dose or for continuous infusion throughout the labor pain. It provides pain relief throughout the labor pain, and later on, if needed, it can be used for the surgery like cesarean section also. The advantage of this analgesia was that patient remained awake, was cooperative during the delivery, and if the drugs is flexible with the progress of the labor, we can adjust the doses of the drug. It has a minimal maternal fetal side effects. It can be used for cesarean section also in the postpartum period for the manual removal of placenta and episiotomy. Disadvantage, first one is it has a delay in response. It takes around 10 to 15 minutes for the onset of action to take place. It sometimes gives patchy block or failed block or accidental subarachnoid puncture. Titration of the doses is needed with the changing maternal hemodynamics. And it was blamed for the increased incidence of cesarean section, but meta-analysis, Cochrane study have showed it have no correlation with the incidence of cesarean section. Combined spinal epidural, which is currently in practice, here we give the drugs in the intrathecal space, also into the epidural space. The moment the drug is injected into the intrathecal space, patient have immediate pain relief. And later on, we administer the epidural catheter into the epidural space, and which we use for the further bolus of the drugs. It has a minimal motor block and less need for supplemental doses was seen. Advantage, as already said, it has a rapid onset of analgesia. Immediately patient feels pain-free, and it has a very few failed block or patchy block. It aids, most important is it helps us in localizing the epidural space in difficult cases like in obese patient or in preeclampsia where the body is in edematous condition. Disadvantage, it can cause failure or malposition of the catheter, postdural puncture, headache, and all the disadvantages which is common to the spinal anesthesia. It is also called walking epidural because the drug used in this method is in such a low concentration that it only provides sensory analgesia without giving any motor block. So if participants want, can ambulate in the room, can go to the washroom, and it provides a high degree of maternal satisfaction, and low incidence of cesarean section was seen. But why to walk? It is said that upright posture helps in shortening the duration of the labor by walking, and also the weight of the fetus help in dilating the cervix. Complication, procedure related, there can be dislodgement of the catheter, hypotension, bradycardia of the mother, sometime at higher doses, which is a rare complication like total spinal anesthesia, transient anesthesia, or cauda equina syndrome, which is transient. Drug-related bupivacaine at higher doses do cause myocardial arrhythmia, and also at higher doses is cause vasodilatation, but we don't use such high concentration. And complication like pruritus, nausea, urinary retention, it can be treated accordingly. It is not difficult to treat with. Now, preparing the parchment for labor analgesia will be taken by Sir.
Okay. Back to me. This is a protocol or the steps how we proceed with the combined spinal epidural analgesia. I have made this protocol when we started running this unit, and I'll go through it so that you can understand. And afterwards, once we finish, we can take up the questions also. When we go to the mother, we approach the mother should know the concept. What is the concept of painless delivery of the baby? She should know the benefit of it first, and if required, she should be allowed to meet some mothers who has just delivered or who is undergoing the procedure in the labor room or that complex, or at all, if we can put some video to show her that this is the procedure, how it is benefited. You should not worry at all about it. No anxiety, will be always with you, and the process goes on. You help yourself. You can, when the training is required, you can always use your whole strength. If you require, you can walk around. You can talk to your family members or doctors around. So all these things it will build up the morale of the mother. And as I told earlier, always your colleague obstetrician, he is the person for whom you are doing. Actually, ultimate stamp will come under him, and for this you have to have the concurrence, and you should have to discuss with him anything about the mother, about the procedure, and particularly that condition of this mother. And as with all operative procedure or anesthetic procedure, we must always have a informed consent for the procedure. And to start with, a brief history should search for any major contraindication. Like patient refusal is paramount. If she does not want, she does not want. We cannot force upon them. If at all we land up some problem, then we have to have it. So other contraindications are, as usual, local infection of the spinal side, backside, coagulopathy or anticoagulant therapy, if at all she is on, if she is hypovolemic in case of hemorrhage and shock, or previous section for contracted pelvis. In those cases, we should not try at all, because the child will not come out just like previous one. Inadequate supervision or this type of similar things we must be considering as a contraindication. Relative contraction are if there is any previous neurological disease with the mother, or there is severe deformity of the spine. We should try to avoid it. Otherwise, if any damage or inherited things occur, they will always blame it also you. And as far as indication is concerned, labor analgesia provision should always be able to a woman who requests for pain relief and does not exhibit any specific contraindication that I have already mentioned. And there are certain conditions where the benefit of pain relief is paramount. That you know all. These are the conditions like preeclampsia, incoordinate uterine action, and then maternal cardiovascular or respiratory diseases, diabetes mellitus. All these things are the really indication for the labor analgesia to be given, provided. And there are some relative, or earlier what we used to think the breech presentation or multiple pregnancy, what is that called? In those cases, we should not give. Now it is actually they are beneficial if we take up those cases also. Now starting to the main procedure, we must record the BP, pulse, SpO2, cervical dilatation, or the state of labor, where the brother, colleague, or gynecologist is always required. He will be monitoring the dilatation and the state of labor, fetal heart rate, and other conditions related to the labor. We have to record it. Then we have to make the mother comfortable in a lateral position, that you know why the mother is required to be lateral, preferably on left side. If it is required for start the procedure, we may have to switch up little bit of oxytocin if required. For this purpose, we have to start a IV drip. So we can infuse about 500 ml or little more of IV fluid, because she may have been dehydrated beforehand, but we should not over infuse. We should not overload the mother beforehand in this any procedure before delivery. For this purpose, we must prepare our equipment, drugs, strict aseptic sterility. All equipment should be sterilized for each cases separately. Labor analgesia room should be fumigated at weekly basis. And then I'm coming to the timing of the procedure, which depends on the request of the mother. who is in labor. Mark the word, who is in labor. If she is not in labor, we are not supposed to put on this procedure for this. How will know the labor? We know it clinically. This must be having a regular contraction, about 3 contraction per 10 minutes or so is there. You can always know your gynecologic is also there. Why we are not giving in this? Suppose it is a false labor pain. She will go back and your techniques and other thing unnecessarily you have wasted it for that time. Unnecessarily longer lasting epidural procedures, so that chance of infection may be there. So always start a patient where the labor, certain labor has started in that case. So it is usually we say it is about 3 to 4 centimeter dilation of cervix is there, then it will not go back. It has to go ahead only. Or in certain cases, we may have to consider about earlier also. Suppose this maternal cardiovascular problem or respiratory problem, in that type of case, hypertension, severe hypertension, preeclampsia, all those cases, we may have to put little early also, so that she has already does not land up in pain at all in this type of thing. Then as far as the choice between the epidural and combined spinal epidural depends on the time and the discretion of the anesthetist, is how capable he is doing in this type of situation. CSE, जिसको हम बोलते हैं, we tell it the combined spinal epidural. It gives comfort, as Aradhana told, it is in minutes. Within a minute or two, the person, we start with the spinal part, the mother becomes analgesic, pain-free in minutes. You can see the previous construction, after a second construction, and then she will tell that yes, I have got this thing. Within 2-3 minutes, she will have it. Whereas the epidural part, the epidural, only epidural analgesia, it will take 10-15 minutes, and starting is little bit doubtful. There are many times it may be patchy, it may be supplemented or something like that. So in that case, 12-15 minutes are wasted also. Then patient is placed in the, usually we do this case in the near the labor room, near the bed, not to the operation theater. We pull her onto the side of the edge of the table and preferably in left lateral position. And what we do, we push a simple spinal needle and give drugs for the starting of the analgesia. The drugs I will be following it with either it will be narcotics or local anesthetics. Once this we give it, I'll tell you the procedure. Let me tell the drugs. Drugs usually we give it either it is a narcotics or it is a local anesthetics. As far as narcotics are concerned, most popular drug is the fentanyl. It is in a very micro doses. We used to give about 20 to 25 microgram spinally, and it is followed by epidural part, which is after putting, after we withdraw the needle, we may see pain free, and we have our time. We take a time to prepare other thing. We give local anesthesia, and the needle of epidural needle is little thicker, so that we give it comfortably. When she is pain free, we put the needle and then the catheter is passed, and we give the other drugs. Either it is a combination of local anesthetic or narcotics, or even simply take local anesthetics. As far as local anesthetic is concerned, old age bupivacaine is most popular, but new drugs has come up, ropivacaine, which is less cardiotoxic and it spare muscle power if it is given epidurally. And if spinally, both are of same potency, but as far as epidural condition, ropivacaine causes less muscle paralysis. So as far as I told, either we can give is intermittent level of top-up doses, epidural level. Once we give spinal, and we need not to repeat spinal again and again. Supplement doses are always given by the epidural, continuous epidural, or by intermittent bolus. It is how it is being given. I'll tell you. Once the patient is in the on the side of the table, your assistant will make her comfortable with curling in, or even in some anesthetists, they are more comfortable with the sitting position, or she may be having a difficult back, or she is a little fatty one, where sitting posture is little better. Once we take up the spinal part, it can be combined spinal epidural can be given in one attempt also. It is called needle through needle. Through the epidural needle, we can give the spinal drugs and withdraw the spinal needle and put the catheter and continue with the and fix it, and subsequently giving it the maintenance dose of through epidurally. It can be combined drugs. And one thing is there, trying of epidural or spinal puncture, it should be always avoided when the patient is having contraction. That is the thing, when you are trying to put a epidural needle into it, the contraction or the movement of the patient, she may damage the durameter. Okay. And this thing, these things, once you give this thing first dose of spinal and the epidural supplemented, it may give, if it is a bolus dose, it may be with 30 to 40 minutes or 50 minutes like that. We may have to supplement. In that time, we have to take up all the monitoring of pulse, BP, fetal heart rate, uterine contractions every 2-3 minutes intermediate, initially for 20-30 minutes, or then after that 15-20 minutes rest. In high risk cases, we monitor SpO2 and the supplement of oxygen by nasal prone, like cardiovascular patient in a mother or respiratory distress patient in those cases. And we have to inquire about the sensory motor weakness of the occurring to the mother. If at all it is there, then we should prevent walking or standing up or moving out of bed herself without support. We have to check the motor block also. And as far as the motor weakness is concerned, safe ambulation in CSC or epidural anesthesia, this requires there should not be postural hypotension or its symptom, minimum or no motor block, minimal or no proprioceptive block, monitoring of facilities including fetus should be there, cooperative and understanding participants. She should understand what is the meaning of this, why it will be harmful or why it will be beneficial, and the parasitic part of the fetus engaged and well applied to the cervix. This is our ambulation requirement is there. And so precautions are taken like this: avoid postural hypotension, avoid aortocaval compression or straining much, monitoring of motor blocks, providing suitable environment, suitable shoes, cotton shoes or some soft shoes, and the floor should be such that it should be plain or not slippery, or their cords are not running here and there in the floor so that she will fall down on this thing. Or an IV, simple IV therapy, simplify IV therapy when she wants to move out, bung the cannula and disconnect the line. She may go to bathroom with support of somebody, she should not be left alone. Provide suitable remote control monitoring of fetals or mother, maybe pulse oximeter when she is moving out, so that we can know it what is happening. In some cases, as times goes on, your colleague gynecologist is assessing what is the progress, like cervical dilatation or staging of the descending part, and this indication of fetal distress or something. Then in those cases, suppose everything is going all right, now it is fully dilated or going down perineal, presenting part is coming to the perineum, you may have to supplement that time with cautiously. At that time, you may have to increase the dose, double the dose. Suppose we are giving Marcan, that is called bupivacaine, it is 0.1% to 0.125% initially, so when we gave it total supplementary doses, but in this time we may have to double the dose to about 0.2 or 0.2 5% concentration, so that these perineal nerves, all those things, they are blocked better. We have to be watchful about the block related issue, like asymmetric sensory block, diminishing analgesia. When it is diminishing, you know, we have a scale to know. We always show to the mother what is your comfort level. See, we call it verbal rating scale or VRS, visual rating score, and that we judge that how much pain she is getting now, whether she is comfortable or not, and in that way we have to readjust, either it is on the syringe pump or we have to give the booster dose or something like that. Similarly, we may have to be watchful that the motor block is occurring or not, any patchy block or total spinal. These things are very rare. Thing is that I will have a word about it, one or two. Why we should not fear about this thing? Because we have not started, we don't know the thing what is happening. Once we started, many things will come to us. It is as simple as this. I'll tell you once all these things, all these our knowledge or experience, it has come from our operation theatre or even the ICU or post-op room. You know, the major operations are done, cardiothoracic operation, we split the sternum, we do major operation, abdominal operations, orthopedic operation, and postoperatively how we manage? We manage with the postoperative analgesia, thoracic epidural, lumbar epidural, or some caudal epidural. In those cases, we don't give the concentrated drug. We use the most diluted drug. Suppose your normal concentration is 0.5% bupivacaine. In those cases, we give it 0.1%, even less than that. It preserves the motor function or motor power, and it takes away the pain or the sensory part. So in those cases, there is hardly any chance. Can you ever heard that we are going around and going wrong in the post-op analgesia? Very rarely, because that if at all we are going wrong something, it is an associated disease. She has gone such a big operation. We have manipulated the cardiovascular system, respiratory system, GI system, hematological system. In those cases, we are giving analgesia. We want that he should have to breathe, he has to maintain upright position, he has to cough, all those things. For that, we have to give it. And we are so successful. Nobody complains that he has gone wrong or anything. This thing has come to our liver analgesia thing. It is so less drug is given for just your information. This, suppose it is a narcotic analgesic. We have given only 20 milligram spinal. That usually we mix with any spinal injection. So hardly any job. That does not have any part of its muscle paralysis. Narcotics is concerned. As far as local anesthesia is concerned, normal level 0.5% of bupivacaine are given. Similarly, ropivacaine also there. But when we give it around 0.1%, even less than that. Less than 50% less of that also. In those cases, hardly 2 ml of xylocaine, bupivacaine is dilated to make it to 10 ml or 15 ml, and we inject it like this. So the chance of any adverse effect is just minimal. It is once we start is this thing. I have an experience of about 200-300 of liver analgesia myself, and I have never seen a case where the hemodynamic instability has occurred or any serious adverse effect has occurred. There are the few adverse effects is there. I'll tell you. The commonest thing is the itching. Can you believe it? Once you give the fentanyl into the spinal space, after 2-3 minutes, as she gets better of the pain, she start itching in the flanks or thigh or something like. You can. She is also not mindful about this, and I know that fentanyl causes the itching. So I asked, "Kahan khujli ho raha hai?" It was not there earlier. She will tell, yes, it is there. It is there. It is so mild. Never required any antihistaminics or steroid to manage it. It goes subside by 5 minutes or something like that. It goes unnoticed again. But you being a observer, you have to watchful if it is required any treatment or not. Similarly, hardly anything having a GI upset or total spinal, this thing, but this leber anesthesia technically it is little difficult. What happens in our institution, most of the things we give it to our juniors, particularly junior residents who are just first year, second year. Can they give a spinal or epidural with a fighting mother who is having pain? It is difficult. That is the thing our seniors has to do it for them. They will gradually, by the time there is the third year, they will comfortably to give it spinal epidural to these mothers. In these cases, let them to grow up with this thing. So initial stage, if you allow them, they will do the puncture, they will do all the things. These are not complications. These are our man-made complications, all these things. But I'll tell you, this is one of the most blessed thing we create in a labor room. If you take care of the maternal pain during the delivery. To this, see how we have started a labor anesthesia unit. The black person who is sitting is myself only. I am giving a spinal or a spinal epidural completely. Left side, the doctor who is watching me is a gynecologist, a friend, is a PG trainee, third year PG trainee. The assistant who is is usually a technician, we call it OT technician, OT assistant. They give the position to the person, mother. It takes only 30 seconds to give me a spinal. Once the spinal is given, the lady become having no pain within a minute or two. Then I will go for the epidural part. This is the person. There are so many patients every day 2, 3, 4 patients comes for this labor anesthesia. You will not believe the HOD of anesthesia is so much concerned about this thing. Once he comes to the department, he goes to the labor room and find out the mothers are howling or somebody is coming. She straight comes to our department. He will talk to my HOD and tell you, please send somebody who will start all these things. You will not believe they are the person who are the driver in the seat. They do it. See, there is what are there? There is the monitors are there. The fetal monitor Doppler is there. Then the light source is there. With this light, we can give a spinal also. This light. This is the what is that trolley? Emergency trolley with emergency drugs, gloves and other things there. We used to keep a drum ready. I think the drum is sitting on the other ladies where the towel, operation towel, thumb sponge holder, needles, all these things are there. And they carry the technician who comes, we get the thing news, he comes to the labor room and we reach there. What happened, how we usually do it? There is always a question, if a lady comes at 5 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock in the night, how will manage? If it is required, just like any surgical person, our anesthetist colleague will come. But what happened in a routine procedure, we know that suppose EDD is nearby and some complication is coming, the patient is getting admitted. The OBGs that start, as far as their date and examination are concerned, they induce the labor. They sisters start the induction around 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock. They give Cervi Prime or other thing, treats or other thing. The normal induction of labor procedure. By the time, and they will be watchful. Their trainees are their residents are there. They are effective or not. If somebody goes into labor, by the time 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, that is 1 or 2 finger dilated or 3, they send a message. Sir, there are 2% are there. They are having. They have landed up in labor. Will come. Okay, you just pass the message to get the technician to be there, and I'm reaching there within 5 minutes. We come, we give the epidural. Our person is both the monitors are there. That's OBG residents and anesthesia residents are always there. They're monitoring the cases. If more vigilant is the OBG residents. He is just like for any normal labor procedure. He is monitoring dilatation, station of the head, any fetal problem is coming up, Doppler is there. If it is there, if at all they have to go for cesarean, we convert this epidural catheter which is there. I'll show you how we fix it. Just show it. See, this is the fixing of the catheter is like this. We keep it. We are giving a dose. This is a top-up dose we are giving with the bacteria filter. We give it one side for 2-3 minutes, and then after 2-3 minutes we change to other side of the mother. Then we give another service so that it is bilaterally equally distributed. And if we have to take up for the cesarean, we take the mother. There is hardly any time lost. This epidural catheter is in situ. We give changeover from BP vacant to Xylocaine. We give about 10-12 ml concentrated Xylocaine. By the time patient is taken to the table, she is ready for it is as fast as general anesthesia, or even better. There are hardly any chaos, and that time this is taken up. Okay, so ultimately I have we are coming to the conclusion. This is a very safe procedure. It is merely an extension of our knowledge and experience in the perioperative rooms and ICU. Compare it as I told you in the thoracic surgeries or abdominal major surgeries, orthopedic surgery, where we are giving these drugs only without any problem. Why should be a normal mother will have some problem? There is no problem. And if at all, heaven said there is no there is any problem or something, we are always there to tackle it. And it is a blissful chapter in our medical practice as an anesthetist, as a obstetrician. Let our mother to enjoy a childbirth. Thank you. Any question? Anything? Any inquiry? We are here. Aradhana is here. We'll try to solve it, or otherwise you can always ask me. Always ask us anytime in future also. Please, it is open to you. Show me. Face to face.
You can type the question and ask. They can type the question.
Yeah.
They
You can type the question and ask.
अच्छा, they are typing.
They can type. You can ask them to type.
कराओ, क्या करना है?
You can ask them to type the question.
Type the question, please. You can type the question. It is so. Come here. It's anybody typing? If there is no question, I'll thank you for patient listening. We hope we have presented you some important topic in our medical profession. Thank you. Bye.